On Ash. Good morning, Ash and Natalie at 1987. And good morning, everybody on YouTube as well. Listen, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to put to you right now that Greenland, Canada, and the United Kingdom will become part of America. And that's because Europe has already lost the war in Ukraine. Now, hear me out, okay? Before we get onto this and before I go down this road, okay, we've got to take some considerations at hand, right? People say I'm being defeatist. I'm not being defeatist. I'm being an absolute realist. I'm just looking at my hair as well. And I mean, listen, guys, if Europe could deploy something as ferocious as my hair, I reckon they'd be in for a chance. But before we get into this, and before I want to give context on Greenland and then how naturally Canada and the United Kingdom will become part of America, it's all about strategic alliances. It's all about ground, okay? This is a military operation. So I don't want people to think I'm being defeatist, because if it comes to, if you're looking at an analysis between Europe, NATO, minus the United States, and Russia, on paper, it's clearly a win for the Europeans, right? Now, the problem here is those papers are very misleading, because the Russians are willing to do things that we here in the United Kingdom would not. I've got a video I want to share with you guys. Now, I don't know if I'm going to share this because it's quite dark. So there's a few videos going around the internet at the moment of African, I think they're soldiers that are working for the Russians, and how the Russians are treating those soldiers. We just don't have enough men, guys, and we are not ready to, we don't know how to fight with conscripts. And it's a good thing, it's a good thing, but it's obviously a bad thing as well, right? It's a good thing and a bad thing, because using conscripts the way that conscripts are meant to be used, it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing if you've got a conscience. So I will share this video. Actually, I'm going to share this video now. I'm sharing this video. I'm going to give a little bit of a trigger warning before I share it, right? Because although you don't see anything, this is kind of the mildest video I could find. Although you don't see anything on this video, I'm just going to stop this, and I just want to explore what the subtitles are saying in Russian. And I've sent this to my friend, and he says, yes, that's what they're saying. My friend, he speaks Russian. I don't speak Russian. I speak Ukrainian. So anyway, let me share this video with you. So what I'll do is, it's only a 40-second video. I'll play the whole video. I'll then replay it, and I'll stop it at the key points.
О, глянь, сколько одноразочек. Еще и поют. Радостные. Ничего, сейчас на залив пойдут. По-другому запоют.
Right, let me just rewind it here, because so if you guys can see the subtitles at the bottom, right? If you guys can see the subtitles at the bottom, look how many disposable ones are here. That's what he's saying, disposable ones. So I'm assuming this is the use of conscripts, right? It's very difficult to argue any other way. They are joyful. So, he said, this guy behind the camera, I think he's clearly one of the Russians in charge. And he's saying, look how many disposable ones we have here. And they're very joyful. Listen to the disrespectful, and guys, look, this video, I'm doing this for educational purposes, right? I'm doing this so you guys can see what life on the front line in Ukraine is actually like for conscripts. And it's not good. Never mind. Now they'll depart to Zaliv, and I can only assume that Zaliv is a code word, but they've given some part of the front line. So he's saying, never mind. Now they'll depart to Zaliv, and they'll start singing differently. Now that's kind of that's one of the mildest videos I can share with you guys. These videos are all out on the internet, and I just want people to understand we will not do that in the West. Like here in the West, we will not do that, and I think that's a good thing. Now the negativity from that is you can't. It's going to be very difficult to win against that, and without making huge. Literally, without making huge changes right now, the war in Europe is already lost because we're not willing to do that. Humanity has defeated us. So what comes next? Literally, what comes next? So I want to give context now on Greenland, and then I'll turn you guys off on, and then I'll clean you guys. I'll turn you guys off on TikTok, and then I'll just be streaming on the, on YouTube. So Greenland, Canada, and the United Kingdom will, and I've been saying this for a long time. When I first said it, I was getting a lot of pushback, but now it seems like it's just an inevitability, right? So January 2026, Donald Trump has reiterated his long-standing interest in acquiring Greenland, right? Stating in a press conference that the United States would take control of Greenland one way or another. That's pretty, that's pretty definitive, right? We're going to take control of it one way or another. This echoes his 2019 proposal during his first term to purchase the autonomous Danish territory, which was dismissed and laughed at by the Danish as absurd at the time. Probably doesn't seem that absurd now, right? The renewed push comes amid escalating US geopolitical tensions, particularly in the Arctic, that's been framed by Trump as essential for national security. And it's very difficult to argue with that, right? It's very difficult to argue that. And again, the subtext of this monologue, guys, is imagine if Europe is already lost. Imagine if Europe's already lost. So to advance this, Trump's appointed a former Louisiana governor, Jeff Landry, as a special envoy to Greenland, specifically for acquisition efforts, signaling a more formalized strategy that could involve economic incentives, NATO leverage, or other, or other pressures on Denmark. In a statement, the statement has sparked international concern, i.e., Trump saying we're going to take Denmark one way or another. Sorry, Greenland one way or another, my mistake. With Trump brushing off NATO commitments by suggesting the US might withhold defense support to Denmark if it doesn't cooperate. European allies view this as a test of transatlantic relations, especially as Donald Trump has tied it to broader demands for NATO members to increase defense spending. So imagine this, right? Imagine you're Donald Trump, DJT. I mean, he's Scottish, right? DJT's Scottish, his mum's Scottish, so he's got, he's British. And DJT is seeing Europe falling. He's seeing the armies coming. He's seeing, he's seeing the Russians pushing forwards. And he's like, right, these Europeans need to start spending and bolstering their defense. And they're not doing it. What are you going to do? Like, literally, what are you going to do? If you know that Europe has already fallen and there's no way that Europe can defend, are you going to keep plowing money into Europe knowing that it's going to be lost? Or are you going to batten down for the long haul? Denmark, which handles Greenland's foreign affairs, has firmly rejected any sale, emphasizing that the island's self-governance and the will of 56,000 residents will determine their future. I think there's going to be a vote, guys. I think there's going to be a vote. And I think they'll vote to become part of the US. Critics argue this approach risks alienating allies and escalating tensions with Russia and China, who are also vying for Arctic influence. So you guys can imagine, right? Look what's happened in Africa. Africa belongs now to the China. Well, okay. For you guys on TikTok, this is for entertainment purposes, and this is all not true. And do your own research. But some people might, in fact, you know what? What time are we on? I think it's fair to mention Africa now, because the Chinese mining companies have gone into Africa. You've just seen from the video there, the Russians are bringing manpower out of Africa. So it does look like many countries in Africa already belong to the Chinese, run by Russian muscle. And I don't think the Americans want that to happen to Denmark, because this will just happen slowly. And before you know it, there'll be so many ties in there, and it'll be difficult to do anything. So that's why the United States wants to take control of Greenland. Right, I'm going to get some comments on the chat, and then I'm going to continue on this, guys, because I do have quite a lot to talk about. Age Aesthetics is saying, Talk TV this morning saying that net zero will cost this country 4.5 trillion. What are this government, previous government thinking, making us all poorer for this woke agenda? I think it's all part of the same thing. It's all part of this direction to break people in the United Kingdom. So when the United States say, can you imagine, right? Can you imagine? Look. Things are real bad in the UK. Things are real bad in the UK. Taxes, cost of living, the taxes on taxes. Oh, you've been taxed. Right, I'm going to tax you some more for you. It's just ridiculous. So you can imagine, right, getting to that stage. Imagine the world. Let me paint you a picture of the world, okay? Imagine the world. Imagine the world where, just for entertainment purposes, right? Imagine the world where Russia has defeated the Europeans, gone through all the European nations, and now Russia's in charge of Europe as well. Just imagine that scenario, right? Imagine what things would be like in the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom would fight an absolute epic fighting withdrawal. It would be a fighting withdrawal of epic proportions across Europe. Lost manpower, just like the worst things that you can possibly imagine. Look, and the video I shared with you guys earlier, I've seen videos that are like, I have to be very careful what I'm saying on here. I've seen a lot of videos that are not out in the public domain. I've seen a lot of stuff that's not out in the public knowledge. And it's not a good thing what's happening, So imagine the world where the Europeans have lost, the Russians take over now. Here in the United Kingdom, we are absolutely broken. Absolutely broken. We've got no money. We've got no infrastructure. We've got nothing. We're literally, our currency's gone. Our currency's gone because we've had to pay for this war. So we don't have anything. Imagine at that stage, right? Donald Trump says, he puts a message on Truth Social saying, right, United Kingdom, do you want to be American? And we'll let you start mining your own resources. We'll let you guys start, we'll get rid of this net zero. We'll give you guys some oil. We'll bring down the price at the pump, and we'll get your economy going again. Like, can you imagine what people would say? And it's all part of subversion. I understand it, guys. It's all part of subversion. That is the reality. Trump won't let the UK fall. We are an asset. Fran would. I think that as well. I think that as well. Feels like we're at the Battle of Helm's Deep, right? And we're at the Battle of Helm's Deep, and like Donald Trump could be Gandalf coming in at the last moment on his, on his beautiful white horse with the Rohirrim behind him. Okay, right. Listen, guys, I've got the chat open. Let me just give a quick warning to everybody in the chat, right? I don't want to block people. I don't want to block people on the chat, right? If people are on the chat and they're throwing crazy conspiracies out there that are not relevant, I'm just going to put people in permanent timeout because I totally get it, right? There's some weird stuff happening, but unless you can back it up with some sort of academic paper or some sort of literature, I don't really want to talk about it. And I'm not saying that to slope my shoulders, because you can find most stuff out there in the mainstream. For example, when I said that there were certain demographics in the United Kingdom are 60% inbred, I then backed that up by academic papers. So if you're going to be throwing out wild conspiracies in the chat, just be careful, all right? And if you find yourself not able to comment, it's because I put you in permanent timeout. But anyway, let me continue, because I want to give context on the strategic benefit of the strategic value, I guess, of Greenland to the United States. And let me be clear, there is zero strategic benefit to Greenland for Europe. None whatsoever. Zero. Greenland geographically is part of North America. That's the reality. You can argue with that all you want. You can argue and say, oh, no, it's not. Greenland's part of Europe. Yeah, you can argue that all you want. It's not. Like, the map doesn't lie, and the map doesn't care about people's opinions, unfortunately. The map is the map, and it will always be the map. So Greenland is part of North America. It's administered by Denmark at the moment. Anyway, so Greenland is important to the United States for, it stems from its unique geopolitical, military, and economic attributes, particularly in an era of climate change and great power competition in the Arctic. So I want to give you guys a breakdown of three key areas. We've got military and defense, we've got geopolitical countering, and we've got natural resources. So military and defense. Greenland's position, located in the North Atlantic, makes it a critical gateway for monitoring and controlling Arctic routes. The United States already operates the Tool Air Base there, established during World War II. Now, look, guys, you can go down a conspiracy on that name of that base, the Tool Air Base, THULE. If you want to go down there, it's totally up to you. But back it up with something. Now, this airbase in Greenland hosts advanced radar for missile detection, early warning, and space surveillance. The base feeds directly to U.S. Homeland Security, helping detect any threats from Russia or other adversaries. Full control would expand U.S. capabilities for submarine detection, air defense, and staging military operations in the increasingly accessible Arctic Ocean. Now, when I was thinking about this earlier, it only makes sense to take Greenland if you know that Europe is going to fall. It does. It only makes sense. You know what? It doesn't only make sense. It makes more sense. And it puts it at a matter of urgency. If you know that Europe is going to fall, right? And let's just, again, for entertainment purposes, let's just pretend that Denmark is now part of Russia. Guess what? Greenland is now part of Russia. So if you know that that's going to happen, you're going to want to do something about it before it happens, right? You're going to want to, you're going to want to square that circle before it falls, because then it won't roll away. As the ice melts due to climate change, and the climate is changing, guys, it really is. It's getting warmer. And I'm not going to go down there, but the climate is changing. It is getting warmer. New shipping lanes are opening up, and resource access are also opening up, heightening competition with Russia and China. Russia has already militarized the area with the northern bases and military exercises in that whole Arctic region on the Russian side. While China's economic footholds through investment, mining, and infrastructure. So we always look at this, we always look at this. Do you know what? I don't have a crystal ball, but I have an 8-ball. So we always look at we always see the map of the Earth, right? We always see the map of the Earth, and it's like the flat map. you know, you think, oh God, America's miles away from Russia. Russia's over there, and oh, and China, they're all miles away. Yeah, if you turn the you know, if you look down from the North Pole downwards, all that shit be real close, fam. All that shit be real close. All that shit be real close and tight, fam. You know, so so taking control of Greenland for the United States, and especially if you know that that the Europeans are going to fall and fail because they're not investing correctly in their military. I've been saying this for a long time, and I don't want to feel like, I don't want to feel like a defeatist, because I'm not. I'm a realist. I've said this many, many times. Without the United States, I don't see the scenario where this is a win for the Europeans. It could be if I took control, literally, guys. And I don't want to be. I'm probably more qualified than most people who are running the military. And if I was in control of the military, we'd have this shit in lock. We honestly would have it in lockdown. We would have it all in lockdown. Greenland also holds vast reserves of rare earth materials, crucial for technology like electric vehicles, wind turbines, and defense system, which would, of course, reduce dependence on China, which dominates the global supply because of, Africa and, the mining that they're doing. And of course, there's potential for oil and gas there, which I think is going to be, which I think's an inevitability as well. So when I talk about Greenland, Canada, and the United Kingdom will become part of the United States, I've been talking about this for quite a while. I was talking about the UK. In fact, hang on, you guys on TikTok, I'm going to close you guys down now. You've been fantastic. You've been awesome. Bev's just joined, and Carl Woolley and Katie with a little heart. Hello, Katie with a little heart. They've all joined. Listen, guys, I'm going to close you guys down on TikTok. I'm going to jump over. I'm not going to jump over to YouTube. I'm going to continue the live stream on YouTube. If you guys want to jump over there, I'm the Real Raven 1 on YouTube, and I'm live right now. I'm live right now, and I'm probably going to be live for the next hour or something. And we are going to be talking about. I'm going to be sharing with you guys some videos. We're going to be concentrating on why the United States wants Greenland, Canada, and the United Kingdom. That's what we're going to be talking about. I think things are going to will get a lot worse before they get anywhere near better. And I do feel that this is all because Europe has already lost the war, and people know this. And right now, it's just a swan song. Anyway, I will be turning you guys off, and I'll see you guys later. Oh, there we are. I think we're off. Are we off? Yes, we're off. Dismiss. Right, let me get this, because it always whacks my finger when I say always whacks my finger. But I don't mind. Right, let me jump down and get some comments. Danny Walker, fantastic comment. Danny Walker is saying, sorry, I have some coffee as well today. Danny Walker is saying, just off subject, NASA bolster planetary defense after strange what? What the beard of Zeus is this? Oh, hello, Jan. Jan's jumped over from TikTok. Hello, Jan. You're most welcome. Okay, so first of all, look, you guys who've been following me for a while, right? I think all these wars are ridiculous. I think we should be spending all our money, like every penny. Like, if we stopped spending money on defense and started spending money on space infrastructure, we'd all live in broad sunlit uplands. We really would. At some point, Earth will get hit by another asteroid. That is, over a long enough time period, right? It's inevitable. It really is. It's inevitable. And I just don't know why we don't spend, I just don't know why we kind of we think it's never going to happen, right? We think it's never going to happen. But let me just jump over here. See, this might be one of those things that are not connected. Okay, I'm not sure of the credibility of this this website here, but I'm on a website called Mixveil. Mysterious radio signals from Comet 3I Atlas prompt NASA to bolster its planetary defense. The detection of an unusual radio signal coming from 3I Atlas, interstellar object that crossed our solar system, that's a project I'm working on, a solar system, led NASA to intensify their planetary defense protocols. The phenomenon, captured by highly sensitive radio telescope, mobilized the global scientific human for an in-depth analysis. Right, okay. So what they've done is basically they have, I mean, the headline is right, but I think it's a bit clickbaity. So there was a mysterious signal from 3I Atlas. So they bolstered their planetary defense protocols and gave them more money or something to basically look and see why this the 3I Atlas is giving off a radio signal. Remember, radio signals can come from a lot of different reasons. It doesn't always mean it's like it's somebody communicating. James, we're going down 3I Atlas here. We're going down 3I Atlas. Right. Jan is saying 3I Atlas is not a comet. I don't know what it is, a comet or an asteroid or whatever it is. James is saying we have Apophis or wormwood from Revelation 8 hurling towards Earth right now. Impact date Friday the 13th of April 2029. It's real, it's coming. James, I agree. I agree with you, James. That is the most terrifying thing that I could you're absolutely right. Listen, let me continue with this because excuse me. Let me continue with this because guys, Dear Pitts is saying the real reason we can't is the same reason for all the issues we have in a modern society. All right, guys. Right, I need to start. X82 is saying I'm booking that week, that day off work. Yeah. Sorry, right. Listen, guys, let me get back on track. I want to get back on track because I want to talk. I've still got quite a few things to go through. So I think that all this push, to take control of Greenland, take control of Canada and the United Kingdom, and I know nobody's talking about taking control of the United Kingdom yet, but they will. I think it's because Europe, they know that Europe has already lost. Okay. Now think how woke we are in the UK. Think how woke our military is, right? I'm going to share with you this video again. And when I share this video, this is kind of the slow video. This is kind of not the slow video. This is a mild video, right? There are a lot of videos like this going online and they're a lot worse. But let me share this with you. And I'll share the first bit and then I'll stop it once the talking stops. So this is a video allegedly from somewhere in Ukraine on the front line, and listen to what the Russian guy is saying. I can only imagine these are, it doesn't really matter. But look how he's talking. So he's referring to, look how many disposable ones there are here. So what do you think he means by disposable? Do you think do you think that he means they're giving them, human rights, the right to life, liberty, and freedom? Do you think it means by disposable ones, that they're getting 3 meals a day and that they're really getting looked after and they've got the best, they've got the best healthcare, they've got the best equipment, they've got the best support systems, they've got the best logistics, they've got the best vehicles. Do you think that's what he means? And they also sing. And they also sing. He's saying, "Oh, look how many disposable ones we've got." And they also sing. This is dark. Like, if you understand the subtext here, guys, this is really dark.
Радостные.
He's saying they're very joyful. Never mind. Now they'll depart to Zaliv, and I can assume that Zaliv is some sort of code word that they've got for a part of the front line, and they'll start singing differently.
Ничего, сейчас на залив пойдут. По-другому запоют.
So what do we think, guys? What do we think? What do we think? And I've given you guys this analogy so many times. All right? The two forces, all right? Who do you think's going to win? The football teams, right? You've got one football team with all the best players, best kit and equipment. You've got the other football team. There's 1,000 of them. They may or may not have ever kicked a football in their life. Who's got the best team? It's this one, right? With all the best kit and equipment, the best players, the best training, the best food, the best everything, right? Who do you think is going to win that game? We are not ready to... And those guys that you just saw then, what do you think would happen if somebody told them to operate as land pirates, you know, pushing through Europe? We're not ready. We are really not ready. And every time I see these politicians on TV laughing and joking, you know, passing this legislation and getting parliamentary oversight, you know, when this happens, nobody's going to care. Nobody's going to care. And for us in the United Kingdom, we're going to be sending our young men and women out there, undertrained, under-equipped, vastly unprepared for what they're going to come up against. And when we do that, we're going to have legal teams behind them ready to take them to court afterwards. Go and defend us, save my life, please. But also, while you're doing it, let me document you so I can take you to send you to prison afterwards. That's where we are right now. It's unbelievable. I can see this coming. You know, I can see this coming. Even my friends in, you know, even, oh, hang on a minute. James Noonan is saying your ancestors sided with the serpent religion over the family of Mary. Guys, listen, can we keep the wild stuff to a minimum, please? Listen, I love this wild stuff, I do. Let me get to the end, right? Let me get to the end and I'll just say, let's all the wild stuff go, okay? Let me get to the, because look, you know, whether my ancestors sided with a serpent religion over Mary's family, like, I don't know. Maybe, honestly, maybe they did. I genuinely don't know. I wasn't alive. It was my ancestors. But we've got real stuff right now, okay? We've got real stuff right now. I'm saying that all this push for Greenland, the push for Canada, and the United Kingdom will become part of the United States as well. I'm saying that all of this is because Europe has already lost, right? Because if you know that Europe's already lost, you kind of want to make things... These videos from Russia make me think even more. So now the small boat migrants could be from Russia. Yeah, okay. The Russians, they have militarized, like, the mass movement of people. The Russians are fantastic at that, you know, mass movements of people. D. Marie Gen X is saying, is there a date for feet on the ground in Ukraine? And is that when it will all amp up? What's the likely trajectory? I think so. Okay. So I don't think there's going to be a parliamentary debate about it. I don't. I don't know if you guys were on the live stream last night. Last night I was talking about how the ground in Ukraine has really frozen up. I mean, I don't know if you guys follow me on TikTok, but the ground in Ukraine, it really has frozen. It's been like, I think the warmest, like yesterday, the warmest So when everybody's got their shorts and t-shirt on, so the warmest it was yesterday was minus 13. At night time, it then dropped to minus 20. You know, let me have a look what it is today. Give me a second. Okay, so today it's a little bit warmer. It's minus 11, the warmest it's going to be in Ukraine today. So minus 11. Oh, but that would make sense because it says it's minus. Ah, yeah. So it does make sense. So the warmest it's going to be today in Kiev is minus 11. The coldest, and it's going to drop to minus 20 again at nighttime. And what that does, that freezes the ground. So, you know, when I've spoke before and I've shown you guys the map and I've said, look, there's nothing there but open countryside. And that's why there's not going to be a ceasefire. You know, that's why there's not going to be a ceasefire. So this whole area, literally, so from west of Zaporizhia, west of Dnipro, just that whole area, like the whole area now towards the river Dnipro, it's just open farmland. Literally just open farmland. Now, that open farmland in the summertime, when it's relatively warm, and this has been the first normal winter that the Ukrainians have had. 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025 have been relatively warm winters, and it's not really frozen the ground. But I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, the ground now over that countryside, it's like rock. So the Russian tanks have the ability to surge forwards now. So what I think is going to happen, and this has to happen before March, because I would say it needs to happen soon, because if you wait until March, preparing things, that window of opportunity is going to be gone, because those that ground will start to thaw and those tanks will get bogged in. So I think it has to happen certainly before March, and the sooner the better, because right now the Russians have the advantage on the ground. And when that happens, I think we will wake up one morning. I would think we will wake up one morning and, you know, I will literally think we'll wake up one morning and and Keir Starmer will be on the news and he'll just say, the Russians have taken the Russians have conducted a massive offense. They have taken a shitload of ground. And on my order, I deployed our British troops. We didn't have enough time to go through the parliamentary process. And now we have boots on the ground in Ukraine. That's how I think it's going to go out. I don't think there's going to be a parliamentary. I don't think there's going to be a debate in Parliament. Not a chance. Templar Matt is saying, after 1066, the remaining Vikings settled and mixed with the Anglos. Many years passed, then we colonized America. We are all from the same family. We are just arguing over a flag change. We're the same. I think so as well. And I've got like my friends in like the Americans know that they're Europeans, right? That's the reality. The Americans know that they're Europeans. They are but they're like and they're descended from the, what's the word I'm looking for? The Europeans that wanted to explore. So that's why the Americans have got a little, so think about it, right? When the Europeans were sailing over the Atlantic to go and found the new world, you didn't get the woke mob going, did you? You didn't get those ones who are like risk averse going. You got those who are like, new world, new foundations, exploration, new horizons. Yeah, I'm down with that. You know, I would have been gone in a heartbeat. So you had all the Europeans that were going out to America. They were like the feisty explorers, you know, the ones who can make stuff happen. And they have children and their children have children. And that's why the culture is slightly different. Priv Caro is saying, I'm behind on the live. I think Trump wants Greenland. Yes, he's been quite clear about that. But also that what he wants more is the rest of NATO countries that border Russia to arm up faster, and this might be a way to make them. So Priv Caro, I was mentioning that earlier, and I think that all this, is because if you're looking at this, and look, guys, if I'm coming to this conclusion, right, with my open source intelligence, then I can pretty much guarantee that people behind the scenes who have, the real-time analysis of what's actually happening on the ground, I'm pretty sure they understand that if Europe has already lost, there really is no stopping the Russians. And in that context, the Americans need to make things happen quickly, and the Americans need to make NATO spend more. And it's not just spend more money either. It's spend that money better. So, for example, here in the United Kingdom, we've just spent 9 billion, right? So we just spent 9 billion on one defense package, right? Do you know what that defense package is? 9 billion. Can you guess what it is? New missile systems, new rifles for the blokes. No, this is on housing, on accommodation for the soldiers. Now, that absolutely needs to be done, right? That absolutely needs to be done. But where's the lethality in that? Where's the deterrence? Can you imagine Putin like, Vladimir, United Kingdom just spent 9 billion on defense. Oh, Bozno, Yuri, what did they buy? New missile system or radar? No, they build houses. What? Yes, they build many houses for soldier. How will this affect Russian military? It will not, Vladimir. They are crazy. Right? That budget, this is how, people are saying they need to spend more money. It's ridiculous. So that's 9 billion that the government are saying, we have just spent 9 billion on defense. Well, you haven't. You just bought a load of houses, and those houses and that money needed to be spent, but that money shouldn't come out of the defense budget, right? That should come out of, I don't know, social house. I don't know. It shouldn't come out of the defense budget, right? Your defense budget, as far as I'm concerned, it shouldn't be called a defense budget, but whatever. If it was me and I was in charge, I would say, right, what's the lethality of this? Why am I buying this if there's no lethality in it? We've just spent another or is it 5 billion? Is it 5.5 billion on the Ajax? How much did it get? Give me a second. Oh, interesting. Cost. $5.5 billion. So we just spent 5.5 billion on the Ajax armored vehicle, and it looks like it's getting scrapped because it's too dangerous. So we have just spent 14.5 billion has just been wasted. So it's not about, defense isn't about spending money. It's about getting stuff. It's about producing stuff. James Noonan is saying Victoria was Prussian family of the Black Eagle. Right, I'm going to have to... Right, okay, I don't have time to go into this now, guys. I don't have time to go into this. Sure, Sophia is saying, we have only possibly lost in this life, Sean. Christians will never lose the real battle. Well, I don't want to lose in this life. I'm okay. I prefer to win in all... I prefer to win in all... in all... what's the word I'm looking for? In all carnations. And CF is saying... Turkey threatened the West about 5 years ago, saying they will open the floodgates of mass migrations. Can't remember why. So I don't think it was Turkey. I think it was It might have been Turkey, but it was about 5 years ago, and I can remember. I think it was. I can't remember where it was. I think it was when they ousted Gaddafi. I think it was. I'm pretty sure when they. I'm pretty sure it was Libya, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, I can remember when seeing some guy on the TV, and it was like one of these fighters, and he's saying, next year we will flood the shores of Europe with our armies, and we'll flood the. He was saying something like, he was going on this rant, and he's saying, we will flood the shores of Europe with our armies, disguised as migrants. And I remember watching, thinking, yeah, good luck with that. You will if you don't speak up, Temple. Have I missed somebody's comments? Guys, listen, sometimes I don't get everybody's comments, and I do apologize for that. Rob is saying, can Starmer afford to split forces between Ukraine and Greenland? It means sending a dozen troops to one and the other dozen to another. So look, when you see quick rule of thumb. Minimum standards here is if you commit to send one troop somewhere, one soldier, we're going to send one soldier over there. What you actually mean is you've got to send 3. All right. And I don't mean for supply and logistics. I mean, because these soldiers have to rotate through, right? They're going to go out there. So let's just say the deployment to Ukraine, right? Britain have pledged 7,500. Okay. I'm going to let people know right now, we don't have the capacity to send 7,500 troops. Why? And if they're talking about 7,000 fighting troops, I don't know if they are. I don't know how that's going to be broken down. I don't know how many is going to be logistics. I don't know what it is. But if that's the potential to send 7,000 fighting troops who can conduct patrols, conduct attacks, can do, normal green warfare, we don't have the numbers. We have 19,000 infantry. Oh, but Sean, they've only committed to send 7,500. Okay. Remember what I said? For every one troop, you have to send 3. So 7,500 becomes 22,500. We don't have the numbers. Not there, guys. The numbers are not there. The non-believers will fall as they don't know what to believe in, and they are lost sheep. Have we just gone biblical? Are we going biblical? Are we going aliens? I don't know. I'm just doing a little. NATO is corrupt. Everything's corrupt to some level. I mean, I don't think NATO's as corrupt as Ukraine, and I don't think I'm being unfair saying that. They're having a big shake-up in Ukraine at the moment. Lots of people are getting the sack. Lots of people are getting sideways promoted. James is saying it was my family that landed in NS Canada. I don't know what NS Canada is. That Nova Scotia? I don't know what NS Canada means. Marched to Quebec, beat Lord Monckton, and was betrayed by Victoria and Cornwallis for supplies. You should research that history. Even Washington was sent. Right, listen, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump back on track. Okay, let me give you guys another update. Okay, Greenland, Canada, the United Kingdom will become part of the United States. That's what I'm saying. Okay. You guys are welcome to your own opinions. When I floated the idea of the UK becoming part of the United States, it was wild. It was crazy. Right now, people are starting to scream out for it. Looks like Greenland will be, well, if you believe Donald Trump, it looks like Greenland will become part of America one way or another. That's what he's saying, not me. And I think that this is all in the context that the United States know that the Europeans can't hold off the Russians. And I'm not being defeatist when I say that. I'm being realistic. So let me just counter that, actually. Let me counter that and give context. So can Europe defeat Russia in a war? Yes, they can. Absolutely. Will they? No, because they lack the stomach to do all that is necessary. Yeah, I went full Batman. I went full Ra's al Ghul there. So what I mean by that, I can just share. Look, guys, if you guys, can somebody put in the chat if they've seen the other videos that are going around X with these how the go on. What's the word I'm looking for? How the Russians are treating their conscripts. I mean, I can see a scenario, right, where these Russian conscripts end up being flown back to the United Kingdom and given free housing. Like, does anybody see? Can you see that coming? Can you see walking down the street and you hear these, you hear these people talking Russian and you're like, hello, mate. Well, where are you from? He's like, oh, yeah, I'm, I was fighting for the Russians and then I got captured and I got put on an, on a humanitarian flight and now I live in the United Kingdom. All right, okay. Are you going to be? No, I'm not going to be a contributor. I'm from some crazy place in, in Central Africa. Asia Aesthetics is saying, imagine the ECHR allowing us to have foreign conscripts fight for the British Army. Would have fled the field on day one. You see, this is the problem, right? And I've been saying this all along. Even the military, we don't have we're too compassionate to win. I think that's the right, Oh. Well, he's gone. Right, guys, I'm just gonna put people in permanent timeout, okay? So Tom Jones is back. He's in permanent timeout now. And I don't mind people with adverse opinions throwing things at me, but like, just do it in a legible way, because it just sounds silly. And I'm just gonna put people in permanent timeout. I don't want to ban people. So I don't want to ban people. But I'll just put people in permanent timeout. Sorry, I'm just reading up the chat. But sure, if you're a moral by nature, you was killed for your sins. I'm not guilty. Right, okay. What are we talking about here? What are we talking about? Right, okay. Can somebody answer this one to me, right? Can somebody answer this to me, right? So they're saying, so we say that, look, and I don't just answer this question because I know you guys are going biblical in the text, right? Okay, so Jesus, right? He was sent to earth by God. And he was sent to earth by God to pay for human sins. And then they put him on the cross to pay for human sins. Pay to who? Like, who is he paying? Because if God's in charge, then he's the one in charge, right? Listen, guys, I'm just asking simple questions because I don't understand, right? So imagine you being in charge, right? And imagine you being in charge of the workplace, right? And sending your only child to the workplace to get put on, the story of the crucifixion. So you're satisfied. I'm like, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. Like, somebody explain it to me, guys. Can somebody explain it to me? Really, because I don't get it. I really don't get it. Go and read the Bible. You get all your answers in there. I just don't understand it. I really don't understand it. You know, can anybody answer that? You know, I'm open. Anybody answer why? You know, can anybody answer why you would send your only son to pay for people's sins when you're paying yourself? If you're like, who is he paying? Is there someone above God? Whose sins needed to be paid? Was it the Mysterons? Was it the Mysterons? Was it the Decepticons? Who was it? I just don't. I don't understand. I don't understand the whole story behind it, guys. I don't understand, and I think that's one of the main reasons I always like. I'm like, oh God, and every time I hear this, I'm like, oh God, oh, we've got the crucifix. I'm like, can somebody just explain it to me? Like, explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old, right? And I don't understand. And I mean, in no disrespect. I mean, in absolutely no disrespect with that. I just struggle with that part, you know, with this little story. Template is saying, I can answer, but there isn't enough room in the chat box to explain it all. Well, here's the thing. If you can't do an answer short, I don't know. Right, listen, guys, we're going totally off track. We are going totally off track, okay? Greenland, Canada, and the United Kingdom, I think they're all going to become part of the United States. And I've not even touched on Antarctica yet. And I'm not going to, because I've done that to death. The news of the day is about Greenland. Donald Trump's, you know, it does look like Donald Trump is, you know, he's throwing everything out there. You know, he's saying the United States will have Greenland one way or another. He's sending people into a flat spin. All these countries basically who have cut their militaries, who've stopped spending on defense, they're all starting to realize that they really need to start spending, and it's not spending on defense. They need to start increasing their defense capability, because very soon, once this happens, I think it's going to happen really quick. And I think this is all due. I think my speculation, analysis, and opinion is that this is all down to the Americans understanding that Europe has already lost this war. And I've been saying this for a while. I've been saying it for a while, that I don't see the way that the Europeans can how do you defend against this, guys? Like, how do you defend against this?
О, глянь, сколько одноразочек. Еще и поют. Радостные. Ничего, сейчас на залив пойдут. По-другому запоют.
How do you defend against that? How do you defend? We're not ready. We're not consciously aware of what's coming. You're gonna see land pirates as well. Just marauding gangs of young men, just marauding their way through Europe. Like, can you imagine? Let me go back onto this. I'm not going to play the video, but let me just go back onto this. Can you imagine? All right, wherever you live, how many guys do you think there's there? 4. I think there's one behind him. 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 12 guys there. I don't know how many guys there is. But just look at those guys. Can you imagine 12 of those guys coming onto your housing estate, wherever, or your workplace? Can you imagine 12 guys dressed like that? Because that will be the minimum standard. You know, coming onto your housing estate and taking whatever they want. What are you going to do? You're going to hold up the law? You're going to say, oh, under my human rights, section 140, do you think they're going to care? You're going to hold up the ECHR section 4 states. It's not going to work. You know, ultimately, we're moving into, you know, this should be the title, you know, ultimately we are moving into a new currency, and that new currency is violence. Violence will be the new currency. All right, who's kicking off? Who's kicking off? Who's kicking off? Right, who's kicking off? What am I going to do? I'm going to go on a. Right, do I need to go on a? See, as long as people are not, I don't mind as long as people are not like. Stop spouting Russian running around UK like that would never happen. You're a Walter Mitty. Okay. Okay, right. Okay, so Match of the Cry. I was actually, if you've been following my other videos, what I've actually been talking about is land pirates running through Europe. So if I was misleading there, I do apologize. I wasn't talking about them in the United Kingdom. I was giving that example. I was giving the example of how would you deal with those people en masse, pushing through to Poland from Belarus, pushing through to Finland from Russia, and then making their way through Europe. And how are the Europeans going to cope with that? Obviously, you know, they're not going to get to the United Kingdom like that. We have different problems in the United Kingdom. I would say we would have, we've already got the soldiers here. So, yeah, I'll leave your comment there because I think it was a little bit constructive. Chris is saying American needs it, will protect the Europe from something Russia. Dora is saying, I think if it got to the extent where we were prisoners in our own homes, people will have had nothing to lose. So yes, people will fight back having nothing to lose. Unfortunately, we're in a stage in the United Kingdom where everybody's got something to lose, right? You've all got mortgages, rents that you're like trying to hold on to. Oh, hang on. Leroy go. As soon as I see Leroy pop up, he goes straight into timeout. So Dora is saying, I think if it got to the extent where we were prisoners in our own homes, guys, I was talking to my friend earlier, of the weekend. Like, we're prisoners. You are right. Okay. I'm gonna put it to you that you're already a prisoner in your own home. What do we mean by a prisoner? Think about if life in prison, right? You get a room. I'm actually going to argue that it's better in prison. You get a room. You get 3 meals a day. It's warm. You get a blanket and it's dry. Whose life is different to that? But you have to go to work to provide that, right? You go to work, right? In a car you can't afford. There's something like you go to work in a car you can't afford to pay for a house that nobody sees you in. And that's supposed to be, there's like it's something like, I live in a house I can't afford to impress people I don't like, driving a car that is not mine, going to work. And that's life. So you could argue that we're already prisoners in our own homes. Oh, Pouncy is saying, I'm a prisoner as I'm stuck in bed. I can't move much without help on many. Oh, I'm sending you love. I'm sending you some love. Pouncy is saying, in fact, no, not Pouncy. Ellis is saying AI changes the current geopolitical dynamics. The primal dystopia you bleat about won't happen due to civilizational changes caused by AI. I think AI is going to take us into the dark ages. I do. I think AI will take us into the dark ages. I mean, we're being told that AI is going to take all our jobs, and because AI is taking our jobs, listen, if it works, it works. And if we're all happy, then absolutely fine. But what we're told is AI is going to take all our jobs. So any jobs that you have in manufacturing, media, anything you use a computer for, right? AI is pretty much going to take those jobs. So what they're saying is there needs to be a new global structuring because people still need to have money to be spent, and people will, universal basic income, and everybody's going to live in utopia. It leads me to we need adversity. People need adversity. They need goals. They need to drive. They need to, they need to push. There was an experiment. I can't remember when it was. I think it was with either rats or mice, and they gave two colonies of, I think it was mice. I can't remember. And they gave one adversity. It was difficult to find food. There was scarcities. It wasn't the best conditions. And the other mice just lived in utopia. Guess which civilization flourished? The ones in adversity. And Debbie Doobs is saying that is life, Sean. Exactly. Yes, exactly. We all go to what we're all slaves ultimately. James is saying, right, guys, what are we right? I'm getting right. Everybody who's talking about Bible stuff now, you're all going in. You're not going in a permanent. You're not going in a permanent timeout. I'm putting you guys in timeout because I'm trying to get comments on current events. Right, I'm trying to get comments on current events, and people are talking like about biblical scripture. It's just ridiculous, right? Those biblical scriptures, they are not going to affect you as much as these tanks, right? You're in not permanent timeout. Because I can't see other comments. Anyone else want to test my resolve? Right, I think we're good for now. Is this what was called Mouse Utopia? I don't know if it was called Mouse Utopia. Sherry Hepp is saying Ofcom launches investigation into X over Grok images. You see, I do this. Like, I do the Grok. I've never done like I ask Grok to create me images all the time, like for thumbnails or like, the problem here is like all the other AIs do it as well, right? Literally, it like AI creating images. It's like go and try it, guys. Okay, go and try it. Now the problem is why are they only going after X? Is it because X is like the #1 news source and it's and it's giving people unredacted information? Why are they not going after, the other platforms, OpenAI, Gemini, or all the other big platforms that have their own AI? Because you can generate images with all these AIs. Martin is saying AI needs to pay bills then. Yeah, so you can imagine it now, right? I mean, you can imagine a call center, right? Imagine like a call center, and you've got maybe, I don't know, 100 people, 1,000, 1,000,000, whatever. Say you've got a call center, right? And you've got 100 people working at that call center. How much are you paying those people? You're paying them like, I don't know, let's just say you're paying them, I don't know, with national insurance, call it $3,000 a month, all right? And you've got 100 people. So that's 300 grand a month on salaries, okay? Yeah, the numbers get big, right? So rather than pay their salaries, you just have AI do that whole thing. Literally, you phone up a call center, like whether it's happening now or in the future, it will happen. You'll phone a call center up and you'll just get an AI. And, at some point, you won't be able to distinguish that AI between a human and an AI. That's going to bring up productivity, right? Because that AI can work 24/7. Literally, you'll get 24/7 call centers. And you're not having to pay 300 grand a month. And that's for a small call center as well. So you can see now the savings, and you can see the, why AI is coming in. Sophia is saying, won't be long before X gets pulled. Make sure you all have access to other news outlets. I don't know if they can pull. I mean, can they pull X? I mean, I've been doing this for a while now, and I will guarantee, I can say with 100% certainty, when there's a global event, when something happens around the world, literally when something happens around the world, somebody will be posting about it on X, and you can find that within seconds. Takes the mainstream media hours. It literally does. It takes the mainstream media hours. Right, guys, I'm just going to run to the toilet, and then I'll be straight back. Give me 2 seconds. Well, I'm just going to run to the toilet. Give me 2 seconds. I'll be longer than 2 seconds, but... Oh, I'm back. I'm back. So when I used to work in Ukraine, I used to do a lot of stuff with the media. And what happens is you got the mainstream media is massively controlled. Now, you see, it is controlled, but from what I've seen, I'm not sure it's some sort of, and it might be, it might be. I'm not, there's a lot of conspiracy theories being thrown about, right? There's loads of conspiracy theories that get thrown about. Now, I'm going to go aliens, right? And then I'll jump back to this. So there's an incident, a UFO incident in Wales called the Pentach, the Pentach UFO incident, or something like that. And I've watched the videos, all the videos on this. Now, I've watched every video on that. And everything that she's describing is a military exercise. Now, I know because I've done that military exercise. And that particular year that they were doing that exercise, there was foot and mouth, so they couldn't go to the normal places that they normally do their exercises because they were out of bounds. But there's loads of these UFO hunters, and they're going down, and they're talking to these people, and they're saying like, oh, it was we saw this aircraft come in, and then these 2 aircraft chased it across the skies. And literally everything they're saying, I've done as a military exercise. For example, she was saying, this is a Welsh woman, and she's saying, it was a Chinook helicopter, and it came over, and it was hovering dead still, and they were firing green lasers out the back. And I'm like, no, they're not firing green lasers out the back. What that actually is the guys fast roping out of the side doors Or is it on the back of the Chinook? No, is it the side doors? Guys, do you fast? I think you can do both. It doesn't matter. Anyway, but basically, guys, I think it's the back. Guys, fast roping out the back of the Chinook. Now, a safety thing you do when you're in the military, in case you fall and hurt yourself, you know, you can't find that body. You know those green silooms? They put them in the back of the helmets, and everybody has one of them. It's a safety thing. So for somebody who doesn't know what they're looking at, I saw the lasers coming down at a distance. You just see these green things coming down. No, it's guys fast roping. And then she says, it was a NATO plane, an AWACS plane, and it was in a tight circle. And I'm like, yeah, it's going to be in a tight circle because of the proximity to Cardiff Airport. Like, you're not going to, like, you can't, it's very difficult to fly around that area. And everything she talks about on that video, I can 100% debunk and just say, yeah, and then she says, we asked the military for their comments, and they said there was a military exercise in the region. And I'm like, yes, that is exactly what it was. So going back to this comment, I went on a massive sidetrack there. I went on a massive side quest. So going back onto here, talking about media and how the media and how X always gets information before anyone else does. And yes, sometimes it's wrong, and you need to understand what you're looking at. And you need to be able to look at that information and understand what you're seeing. The media is massively controlled. That's where I was going. Now the reason I went down that side quest, right? The reason I went down that side quest is because I didn't want to be sat here and saying to you guys, you know, that there's some overarching overlord and some sort of military conspiracy, because I know a lot of the times there isn't. Like with the UFO thing in Pentratch or whatever it's called, I will 100% say that was not UFOs. I'm not saying that UFOs are not a thing, and I'm not saying that aliens are not a thing, because I do think they are. But that particular one wasn't. Anyway, I hope I answered that question. Right, let me jump down. I'm going to jump down. Let me see if anybody's okay. You don't get it. All old economic models die with AI. The issue we will transition peacefully to this civilizational change. I don't think we will. I don't think there'll be a peaceful transition at all. I don't think the big banks will allow that. I don't think that will happen. I really don't. I just don't see that happening. David O'Rourke is saying, soon you will be able to get your AI to call their AI, and then AI will come back and tell you the outcome. Yeah. That's how mad it is, right? AI. Guys, can you remember what the movie Blade Runner? Can you remember the movie Blade Runner? There's a scene on Blade Runner. I mean, we all think that the future isn't what we I mean, we all, let's be honest, we all expected flying cars in the 80s. In the 80s, we all thought that by 2025 or 2026, we'd all have flying cars, food tablets, and we'd all be living forever. We're not quite there yet, are we? But so in the movie Blade Runner, the first one, Harrison Ford one, and I thought the second one was good as well. I love cyberpunk. I do. I love that genre. I love that cyberpunk genre, guys. I really do. There's not enough good cyberpunk films out there. Sorry. So in the movie Blade Runner, when the Harrison Ford, he's in his like flying car, he still needs to land to make a phone call. And I think he faxes a picture or something. So, like, in one context, we thought that there was going to be this huge futuristic push in energy, i.e. propulsion. And it just didn't happen. Where the real unfathomable drive has been, it's been in information, right? It's been in information. So as David O'Rourke is saying there, soon you'll be able to get your AI to call their AI, then your AI will come back and tell you the outcome. Yeah. Did you see it when those they got two AIs talking? So they got two AIs, wild guys. They got two AIs talking, and then they decided. Then real quick, they understood that they were talking to an AI, and they developed a new language. So Kev Mills is saying an old army thing here. So it's a little bit with okay, so there's a thing about Welsh people, and some people always say about Welsh people, and they say, whose coat is that jacket? You see those two houses? Mine's the middle one. And I can remember, this is real, right? This is real. So we was in the cookout, or like the dining facility in the military, and there was this Welsh lad there. And we sat down, and I think it was a Sunday, and I had a stuffing ball, and I ate it. And I said, oh, God. I said, these stuffing balls are bland. And this Welsh lad, he stuck his fork in his stuffing ball. He went, I can't taste anything, really. And for me, anyway, that's the thing. Rendlesham Forest is interesting, but I bet it was a military op as well. So Rendlesham Forest is an interesting one. They had like that area, that whole area. You've got is it the Sizewell nuclear plant? I think is it the Sizewell nuclear plant that's down that area? So that whole southwest coast. So on that southwest coast, you've got a lot of wild things down there. You've got I think it's the Sizewell nuclear plant down there. Now, some conspiracy theorists say that Sizewell nuclear power plant was there to power something more. And if you look at it, where that power plant is, it makes no sense to have that power plant there. What some people say is, certainly not me. What some people would say that there was a non-nuclear EMP device down there, and that's what it was powering. But yeah, even now people go down to Rendlesham Forest. I think there's a lot of crossovers here with the occult as well. It's gone wrong. He's saying, roll on history repeating itself and technology being hidden from us. Right. I think I'm going to close this down now. I've just checked the time. I meant to type Reform GB News conference now. Oh, breaking news, Reform press conference. Oh, I'm going to help. Oh, people are defects reform. More people are going to reform. When these people defect, what do you guys think? I mean, it's great that people have that ability, but like when people defect, I kind of think, well, what do you really stand for? To me, it just seems like these people are trying to hold on to their jobs. Sean, do you know when banks shut, they'll become the new landlord of people with mortgages and loans, etc.? Do you know what? That makes fantastic sense. That makes huge sense. Yeah, that makes huge sense because we're all in debt to the banks, right? We're all in debt. We're all slaves to the bank unless you're old money. Dylan Fowler is saying 2 mobile phones next to each other called. Oh, yeah, I've seen that. I've seen that one. If UBI isn't introduced to lessen the economic impact on the working class, then you can expect heads on. No. Okay. So look. Okay. Ellis, do you think universal basic income is a good thing? I think it's terrible. I think it's absolutely terrible. And if you think it's a good thing, please explain why you think it's a good thing. And I'll give you what I think about universal basic income. But I'm absolutely open to listening to your thoughts on this. So my thoughts on universal basic income will be, it will be issued. It will be an absolute pittance. It will be the very minimum that you can survive on. But then as soon as you take money from someone, you work for them, right? So maybe the next time, what if they all want you to take some experimental medication or something? I don't know. But, you know, what they will say is, if you don't do as you're told, we will turn your universal basic income off. That's what I think they will do. But you know, you're saying that you think it's a good thing. So I'd really be interested just to listen to what you're saying. Kava is saying what they're forming right now is the North American Union. Alex Jones talked about it 25 years ago, but the Americans just thought it was a conspiracy theory. Now you are cheering for it. Well, it's a long subversion. It's a long subversion route, right? It's a long subversion route. Oh, hang on, what just happened there? Hang on. Yeah, it's a long subversion route, and I've always said, this takes me to the moon landing, right? I've always said, if the moon landing was fake, then the Russians were in on it, right? And now it does look like that could be the case. David O'Rourke, in fact, David O'Rourke that's Sean, that's dark. It is dark. That's how look, guys, that's what I feel is coming. David O'Rourke is saying UBI is total control. I struggle to see how it's not. Wayne is saying universal basic income pilot studies haven't fared too well. I thought they would have. I thought they would have fared well. Oh, Ellis is saying, I understand your concerns, but what is the alternative? Without people will literally starve. Do you consider that better? No, I don't consider that better, Ellis. I think that we should have a free market. We should be able to buy and trade goods with whoever we want. I think we should get rid of all international investment out of the United Kingdom and out of any country as well, actually. I think any international investment is negative. And we should have the ability to self-govern. Giving people free money is also giving them total, is also taking away their human rights, because once you are reliant on that universal basic income, you're literally reliant on the government for everything. And if they say jump, you will literally say how high. Pouncy is saying universal basic income is, universal credit is totally controlled now. You do anything they don't like and they sanction you. So there you go. Sorry, James Brooks saying Alex Jones was great. Hasn't done much since the Snowman, though. I think that was missed on people, James, but I got it. And that was Alex Jones, voice of an angel. He was, we're walking in the air. I don't want to get copyrighted, guys. I don't want to get copyrighted. But look, as Pouncy is saying there's already heavy levels of control. Are we talking right? I think we're talking about. I've got right. Listen, we're not going on the moon, ladies and gentlemen. I've been on for far too long. I've been on for far too long. I am going to close this down. Ellis, can you come back on? Ellis, I'm going to be back on at 8 o'clock tonight. And I absolutely welcome your adverse opinion, you know, because you're obviously diametrically opposed to what I'm talking about. Will you please come back on at 8? Because I'm just running really late and I've got my Monday chores to do. So listen, guys, I welcome everybody's opinions, everybody's like diverse opinions. And I do think that that's a good thing because listen, maybe Ellis will change my mind. You know, maybe I'll change Ellis's mind. But if people don't talk, if people with different opinions don't talk, that's when you get trouble because we need to find those common grounds. Anyway, so Ellis, I would like to talk about this later. I've got to go now, buddy. I really have. I've got a load of Monday jobs to do. I've got a load of paid work to do. I'll be back on the live stream at 8 o'clock this evening, guys. There'll be no doubt there'll be more fastidious things happening throughout the day. So I'll bid you all good morning. I'll see you guys later at 8.